So your book is called Pacing and Cutting.
Yeah.
Let's actually back up a little bit and talk about pacing. What is the difference between pacing and timing, or pacing and momentum?
Okay, well, let's start with defining what pacing is.
Okay.
Um, okay, so this is actually a deeper question than you think.
Oh, okay.
So Merriam-Webster defines pacing as the rate of performance or delivery of something. Okay, and it's true, it is that, but it's so much more than just that. Pacing is the speed at which you tell your story. It has nothing to do with the length of your story. You can have a long, very fast-paced book, or you can have a very short, slow-paced book.
Hmm.
It plays an essential role in maintaining your reader's interest, in building tension, and achieving that emotional impact that you want to achieve with your story. Your pacing is what dictates your reader's perception of time. Okay, so pacing isn't about how quickly events happen in the story. Pacing is about how your readers experience the story unfolding. It could
Mm.
be 10 words describing a decade, or it could be 10,000 words describing just a single day. Obviously, one of those choices is going to feel faster than the other, but
Hmm.
that doesn't make either one of them right or wrong. It really depends on your specific story. So, pacing as a noun is the momentum, timing, and time of your story. In other words, it's how much time your story encompasses, it's how that time is organized, and how many words are devoted to each chunk of those times,
Hmm.
or scene, or where those scenes are placed inside the story. Now, pacing as a verb is controlling those things in order to direct how the characters and the readers experience the story. Thus, your pacing, it dictates the order and the placement and the pattern of all of your story beats. So, like I said, pacing, just defining pacing, I think, is is an art all by itself.
Yeah. And there's all these tools you can use to control the pacing, and you
Yeah.
do such a good job of laying them out. And some of them are things that we've talked about before in the Grammar Girl podcast, like active voice versus passive voice.
Uh
Like
huh.
that can, how does that play a role in pacing in fiction?
Mm. Active voice and passive voice. Yeah, those are definitely things that are very strong controls of your pacing. In passive voice, obviously, you're going to lean into telling over showing in passive voice, and that also is not bad. There are definitely times in a story where you're going to want to tell things, where you're going to want to tell your story, not show the action unfolding, especially if it's more an introspective point in the story. If you're trying to build up your character, you're trying to reveal their characterization and their arc and how they're progressing through that, a passive stance could be a lot more beneficial than an active one. In an active one, obviously, we're talking action, we're talking quick story beats, we're talking shorter sentences, less syllables, shorter paragraphs, even all the way down, or I guess all the way up to what size of chapter you use. In the book,
Hmm.
I talk about how there are some stories that use only a single sentence as their entire chapter, or even a
Yeah.
single word as their entire chapter. The
Yeah. What were
one
some of those?
Yeah, it's really cool. One of the things that most sticks out in my mind is Stephanie Meyer's Twilight. I think it's the second book, New Moon, and between chapters 3 and 4, I believe it is, she has a number of unnumbered chapter headings as Bella is going through severe depression. Her love has left her, and she can't believe that he could possibly have done something so terrible to her, and she just doesn't quite know how to get past it. And so the chapters, or the chapter headings, the unnumbered chapter headings, go, I think it's like October, and then turn the page, November, turn the page, December, turn the page, and then she starts to resume life again, and the story
Oh.
picks up. And it's so effective. It's so wonderfully effective. And there's a Stephen King has done it. The whole chapter in Misery is chapter 32, and all he says is, Polly, can you? That's it, new chapter. Polly, of course, is the main character.
Yeah.
And then another one which really sticks out to me is Something Wicked This Way Comes. Okay, that's one of Ray Bradbury's uh, hallmark stories, and it goes. Uh, Nothing much else happened all the rest of that night. So we have like this action that's like getting heavier and this tension that's growing more hardcore, and then there's a resolution to that arc, and the next chapter is just like giving the characters and giving readers just a break, give them a breather. Nothing much else happened all the rest of that night.
Yeah, I love that you talk about white space, both
Yeah,
literal and metaphorical, and the
yeah,
role that that can play in pacing.
yeah, definitely. White space is so important. So I have a section in the book called The Psychology of Pacing. I wanted to at least touch on how writing affects the psychology, and in turn how that affects our perception of how fast a story is moving and how engaging it is. So white space is it's what's left over after your words create the dark space. It's the emptiness of the page that isn't filled. You can make your story feel a lot more stifling, or you can make it feel a lot more free and free flowing by
Mhm.
managing that white space on any given page. Paragraph breaks give readers a huge visual and mental break. David Farland, he used to tell me that that break was like a breath while swimming, which I think is just
Mm,
the perfect analogy. I will use that for the rest of my life.
yeah.
So yeah, don't downplay the impact of how writing actually looks on the page. Uh, think about it yourself when you're actually reading and you turn the page and all you see is just this block of uninterrupted text, right?
Mhm.
What's your reaction to that when you hit a point in the book like that?
You feel a little bit tired, a little bit daunted, maybe.
Right, yeah, it's discouraging to see this huge block of text because what that looks like all of a sudden to readers is great, right? Suddenly their relaxation time has become work time, right?
We like to turn pages.
Yeah, you like to turn pages. It makes you feel like you're progressing. It's not just the actual story. It's not just the characters. It's not just your plot and the conflicts. It's how you feel. You need to physically progress through the book to make it feel like you're making progress rather than you're stuck. You're not in quicksand, right? You're on a slip and slide.